Hey Mama, welcome back to Pearently. Today we are going to give you the tips that you need to have a natural birth at the hospital. So the question is it possible to have a natural hospital birth? Yes, it is. And we apparently encourage you to deliver your baby at the hospital. Emergencies happen right now. It's not something that you plan for, it's not something that you ever expected to happen. But you have yourself to take care of, but you also have your little baby to take care of. And there are numerous occasions when mom was completely healthy, baby was completely healthy, baby delivered, all of a sudden mom had to be resuscitated or baby had to be resuscitated. And that's something that we apparently would never want to happen to you at home when there's no equipment, there's not a doctor that deals with emergencies, and something happens to your baby. So we do want to encourage you to have a baby at the hospital, but you can do it naturally. What are some ways that you can do it naturally? Well, first you have to get in the mindset. You have to say, okay, I want a natural birth, and I'm going to have to accept the fact that hospitals like interventions, so when I go to the hospital, there's going to be some things that maybe I don't completely agree with, but I'm willing to trade. I'm willing to say I want a safe delivery and you can put a gown on me for the trade. So get in the mindset that not everything is going to happen exactly how you want it to maybe, but there are trade-offs. Once you get in the mindset, you need to decide. You need to decide on exactly what you want. And you have to decide now because we as humans change. We think right now is what we're going to want tomorrow, but tomorrow we want something different. And then the day after, based on our feelings, we want something else. And so if you decide now, write it out and say, I'm going to stick to this. Talk to your husband about it and say, honey, no matter what happens, I want to make sure I don't have an epidural. I want to make sure that I don't get pain meds. I want to make sure that we do whatever you think that you want, decide now. So you also need to know the why behind what you have decided. During my pregnancy, I had a plan. I had decided on what I wanted. And I would have people inquire. They would ask me what my plan was, and I would tell them. And they would be negative. I had naysayers. I had people tell me why my decision wasn't valid, how I wouldn't be able to do it. I would come home, do a little bit more research, and think to myself, why are they being negative? I can completely do this. It's completely valid. So my encouragement to you is to do your research in knowing why you have made those decisions. So that when you have naysayers, when you have people tell you that you can't do it, you can be confident in what you are going to do for your delivery. But be flexible with that. Know that when you go into the hospital, some of those things might have to change. If there's an emergency situation, if baby is in danger, if you're in danger, those things might have to change. And make that known to people that, yes, this is my plan, but I'm not naive. I know these things might change when I get to the hospital, and I'm going to be open to that. So the next thing that you need to do once you have decided on your plan is you need to talk about it. Talk about it. Talk about it with your husband. Talk about it with your healthcare provider. Talk about it with your family and your friends so that you are continuing to validate in your head, I am going to do this. I am going to have a natural birth at the hospital. I'm not going to have an epidural. I'm not going to have this medicine. I'm not going to have that happen. I am going to do this. Also with that, again, letting people know that you're being flexible to it, but the things that you can choose, that you do have a decision on, you are going to stick by. So talk about it. Get it out there, get all your fears, your doubts, everything that you need out in the open, and take a deep breath and say, okay, I can do this. Once you've talked about it with your healthcare provider, you really want to do your research. What does your hospital allow? Most people know which hospital they're going to deliver at, or if you're going to deliver at a birthing center, you really want to call or look online to see what are their do's and don'ts. Some hospitals are very strict and they like interventions. They don't want you to have the most natural birth because it puts them at risk. What about lawsuits? What about if something happens to you? What if it takes too much time and we're out of beds? So you really want to do your research. What is their C-section rate? Do they promote breastfeeding? Do they promote skin to skin? Are they going to allow you to get out of bed? Our healthcare provider, Dr. Boyd, was very flexible. He just wanted patients at the hospital. He said, you can come in and stand on your head in the corner with nothing connected to you, but just be at the hospital. But other healthcare providers, they want you to be hooked up to the monitor. They want you to have an IV. They want blood work. They want to possibly take you for C-section. 1 in 3 women in the United States go for C-section. So you really want to know the hospital that you're going to, what are their C-section rates? What do they say I have to do? And if it really doesn't fit with your plan, then talk to your healthcare provider about delivering at a different hospital. Try to find a birthing center that is inside of a hospital. So definitely do your research. And the last thing, to have a natural birth at the hospital, stay home as long as possible. You have the early stages of labor, and then you go into active labor. At this point, your contractions are about 60 seconds long, 3 to 5 minutes apart, and the pain is increasing, and you start to get scared, and you think the baby's going to come right now. Well, the active phase of labor can last up to 5 or 6 hours, and then you still have to go through the transition phase of labor. So, we apparently encourage you to stay home. You get to move around how you want. You can eat and drink if you want. You can do whatever you want if you stay at home. And then, when you get towards the 5 to 6 hour mark in your active labor phase, before you go into the transition phase, that's when you should start heading to the hospital. At that point, when you get to the hospital, tell them, this is my birth plan. It's right here. I've got it written down. I want to tell you everything that I want and don't want. If you want to stay in your own clothes, if you take your own birthing ball, if you want to use their birthing ball. But we encourage you to stay at home as long as you can to have the most natural delivery at the hospital that you can.